Let me tell you something real tonight. If you're waiting on somebody to show up, to clap for you, to believe in you, to push you forward, let me save you some time. Most of the time, they're not coming. And that's not bad news. That's powerful news. Because the moment you realize you have to do it alone is the moment you stop begging for permission and start building your future. See, everybody wants support, but very few people want responsibility. Everybody wants a team, but before you get a team, you need toughness. Before you get applause, you need endurance. Some of the most important seasons of your life will be quiet. No crowd. No encouragement. Just you, your fear, your doubt, and your decision to keep going anyway. You're going to have nights where nobody checks on you. Mornings where nobody believes in your plan. Days where it feels like the whole world moved on without you. And that's when character is built. That's when champions are made, because when you can stand alone, you don't break when people walk away. Let me be clear, doing it alone doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're focused. It means you understand that success doesn't come from opinions. It comes from work. You don't need everyone to understand your vision. God didn't give it to everyone. He gave it to you. There will be moments when you feel tired, unmotivated, and unsure. Do it anyway. Feel lonely. Do it anyway. Scared. Do it anyway. Because discipline will carry you where motivation can't. And every step you take alone is preparing you for a moment when the world finally notices. Stop explaining yourself to people who aren't going with you. Stop waiting for validation from people who never had the courage to chase their own dreams. Walk your path. Trust your grind. And when you finally arrive, you'll realize the journey alone was the greatest gift you were ever given. Because if you can build it alone, you can protect it forever. Most people underestimate the power of self-reliance because they are conditioned to look outward for strength. From a young age, we are taught to wait for approval, wait for support, wait for someone more qualified to lead the way. But growth begins the moment you stop waiting. When you choose to rely on yourself, you take full ownership of your actions, your failures, and your victories. That ownership is uncomfortable at first because it removes excuses. There is no one else to blame, no one else to lean on when things get hard. Yet that discomfort is exactly what forges real strength. When you stand alone, you learn how capable you truly are. Doing it alone forces clarity. When no one is advising you, cheering you on, or questioning your choices, you are left with your own voice. In that silence, you discover what you really want instead of what others expect from you. You learn to trust your instincts and sharpen your judgment. Every decision becomes a lesson, every mistake a teacher. You stop copying paths that worked for others and start creating a path that fits your own abilities and values. This process builds confidence that is not dependent on praise or recognition because it is rooted in experience rather than opinion. Self-reliance also develops resilience. When support is absent, quitting becomes tempting. There are moments when progress feels invisible and effort seems wasted. But pushing through those moments trains your mind to endure pressure without collapsing. You learn how to manage disappointment, how to recover from setbacks, and how to keep moving when results are delayed. This resilience becomes a permanent asset. Later in life, when challenges grow bigger and stakes become higher, you are not easily shaken because you have already survived worse with far fewer resources. Another powerful outcome of doing it alone is discipline. Without accountability from others, you must become accountable to yourself. No one is watching, no one is reminding you, no one is enforcing deadlines. The work gets done only if you choose to do it. This builds a level of discipline that motivation alone can never create. Motivation fades quickly, especially when conditions are not ideal. Discipline, however, shows up regardless of mood or circumstance. Once discipline becomes your habit, progress becomes inevitable. Self-reliance also strengthens faith in your abilities and faith in purpose. When you move forward alone, you are forced to believe before there is evidence. You work before there is proof. You sacrifice comfort for something you cannot yet see. This kind of belief deepens trust in the process. You begin to understand that results are not always immediate, but effort is never wasted. Every step forward, even the lonely ones, is building something unseen but meaningful. Finally, doing it alone prepares you for leadership. People who cannot stand alone often crumble when others depend on them. But when you have carried yourself through uncertainty and hardship, you develop inner stability. You no longer panic when pressure increases. You no longer seek constant reassurance. When others eventually join you, you are not desperate for their approval. You are prepared to guide them. The strength you built in solitude becomes the foundation for everything that follows. One of the hardest truths to accept in life is that no one is coming to save you. At first, this realization can feel heavy, even discouraging, because it removes the comfort of expectation. We grow up believing that at some point, help will arrive in the form of a person, an opportunity, or a perfect moment. But life rarely works that way. Waiting for rescue often leads to wasted years and unrealized potential. The moment you understand that your progress depends on your own decisions, everything changes. You stop looking for shortcuts and start focusing on responsibility. This awareness is not meant to break you. It is meant to wake you up. When you accept that no one is coming, you gain control. Control over your time, your habits, and your direction. Instead of hoping someone will motivate you, you learn to motivate yourself. Instead of expecting someone to believe in you, you become your own source of belief. This shift is powerful because it places your future back in your hands. Even small actions begin to matter more because you know they are the only bridge between where you are and where you want to be. You stop blaming circumstances and start adjusting your behavior. This mindset also eliminates dependency. Dependency weakens growth because it ties your progress to someone else's availability or willingness. When your momentum depends on external help, any delay or rejection feels like a dead end. But when you rely on yourself, obstacles become problems to solve, not reasons to stop. You learn to adapt, to find alternatives, and to keep moving even when plans fall apart. This independence sharpens your problem-solving skills and builds confidence that cannot be shaken by rejection or disappointment. Understanding that no one is coming to save you also changes how you view failure. Failure no longer feels like a personal attack or a sign that you should quit. Instead, it becomes information. It tells you what didn't work and what needs adjustment. When there is no rescuer, you don't wait for someone to fix your mistakes. You fix them yourself. This process may be slow and uncomfortable, but it teaches patience and persistence. Over time, you develop a thicker skin and a clearer focus. Another important shift happens in how you value effort. When there is no one to fall back on, effort becomes non-negotiable. You begin to respect consistency over intensity. Big bursts of motivation are unreliable, but steady effort compounds. Each day you show up, even when you don't feel like it, you reinforce the belief that you can be trusted by yourself. This self-trust becomes a powerful source of inner peace because you no longer feel helpless in difficult situations. Accepting that no one is coming also strengthens your sense of purpose. You stop chasing validation and start chasing progress. You realize that your journey is personal and comparisons lose their power. Other people's timelines no longer distract you because you understand that they are not responsible for your outcomes. With this clarity, you move forward with intention. You take responsibility not just for success, but for becoming stronger, wiser, and more capable along the way. Loneliness is one of the most misunderstood parts of growth. People often see being alone as a sign of failure, rejection, or weakness. But in reality, loneliness is often a sign that you are evolving beyond your old environment. When you choose a different path, fewer people can walk it with you. Growth requires separation from comfort, from familiar routines, and sometimes from familiar faces. That separation creates quiet moments where doubt speaks louder and progress feels slower. Yet those moments are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to shape you. In loneliness, you confront yourself without distractions. There is no noise to drown out your thoughts, no crowd to hide behind. You are forced to face your fears, your insecurities, and your unresolved questions. This confrontation is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Without it, you never truly understand who you are or what you stand for. Loneliness strips away false confidence and replaces it with self-awareness. You learn what motivates you when no one is watching and what values guide you when no one is applauding. This season also teaches emotional independence. When companionship is absent, you can no longer rely on others to regulate your emotions. You learn how to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. You learn how to encourage yourself when discouragement sets in. Over time, this builds emotional strength. You become less reactive to external opinions and less affected by temporary setbacks. Instead of collapsing under pressure, you develop the ability to pause, reflect, and respond with intention. Loneliness also strengthens focus. When social noise is reduced, clarity increases. You begin to see where your energy has been wasted and where it should be invested. Distractions lose their appeal, and priorities become sharper. The absence of constant interaction creates space for deep work, meaningful reflection, and consistent effort. Many breakthroughs are born in isolation, not in crowds. The ideas that change lives are often developed in quiet rooms, not loud gatherings. Another powerful lesson of loneliness is patience. Growth does not happen overnight, and isolation makes time feel slower. Days feel longer when progress is invisible and encouragement is missing. But patience learned in loneliness is different from patience learned in comfort. It is earned. You learn to trust the process without constant reassurance. You learn to keep going without immediate results. This patience becomes a lifelong skill, allowing you to endure long journeys without losing faith. Loneliness also prepares you for healthier connections in the future. When you learn to stand alone, you stop clinging to people out of fear. You no longer seek relationships to fill emptiness, but to share wholeness. This changes the quality of your connections. You choose people based on alignment, not convenience. The time spent alone teaches you your worth, so you no longer accept relationships that drain or diminish you. In the end, loneliness during growth is not a punishment, it is preparation. It builds strength quietly, without recognition. It teaches lessons that crowds never could. Those who endure it come out more grounded, more focused, and more secure. The solitude that once felt heavy becomes the foundation of confidence that lasts long after the noise returns. Discipline is the quiet force that carries you forward when motivation disappears. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls based on mood, energy, and circumstance. Discipline, however, is a decision you make regardless of how you feel. Most people wait to feel inspired before they act, but progress belongs to those who act first and allow inspiration to catch up later. When you understand that discipline matters more than motivation, you stop negotiating with yourself and start moving with purpose. Discipline begins with small, repeated choices. It is waking up when it would be easier to stay asleep, starting work when procrastination feels more comfortable, and continuing when results are not yet visible. These choices may seem insignificant on their own, but over time they compound into massive change. Each disciplined action sends a message to your mind that you can be trusted. This self-trust becomes a powerful internal anchor, keeping you steady even when circumstances are unstable. Relying on motivation alone is dangerous because motivation is unpredictable. There will be days when enthusiasm is high and progress feels effortless, but there will also be days when doubt, fatigue, and frustration take over. If your actions depend on how you feel, inconsistency becomes your pattern. Discipline removes that risk. It creates structure where emotion cannot interfere. You do the work not because you want to, but because it needs to be done. Discipline also sharpens focus. When you commit to a routine, distractions lose their power. You no longer waste energy deciding whether or not to act. The decision has already been made. This mental clarity frees up space for deeper concentration and better execution. Instead of starting and stopping, you build momentum. Momentum makes progress feel lighter, even when the work remains hard. Another critical benefit of discipline is resilience. Discipline teaches you how to continue under pressure. When obstacles appear, disciplined individuals adjust rather than retreat. They understand that setbacks are part of the process, not a signal to quit. This mindset builds endurance. Over time, challenges that once felt overwhelming become manageable because you have trained yourself to respond with action instead of emotion. Discipline also protects your goals. Without it, distractions easily derail your path. Comfort becomes tempting, excuses become convincing, and time slips away unnoticed. Discipline acts as a guardrail, keeping you aligned with your long-term vision, even when short-term pleasure tries to pull you off course. It helps you choose progress over comfort, growth over ease. As discipline becomes a habit, confidence follows naturally. This confidence is not loud or dependent on recognition. It is calm and grounded. You know what you are capable of because you have proven it to yourself repeatedly. You stop seeking external validation because your consistency has already validated you. Discipline turns intention and action into identity, shaping not just what you do, but who you become. Faith combined with action is what transforms hope into reality. Faith on its own can feel comforting, but without action it remains only an idea. Many people believe deeply yet never move because they are waiting for certainty, signs, or perfect conditions. But real faith is not passive. It requires movement even when the outcome is unclear. When you take action before you feel ready, you demonstrate belief not just in a higher plan, but in your role within that plan. Action gives faith a direction. It turns belief into effort and effort into progress. When you move forward despite fear, doubt, or lack of resources, you activate opportunities that would otherwise remain invisible. Doors do not open for those who stand still. They open for those who knock, push, and sometimes fail before succeeding. Every step taken in uncertainty strengthens belief because it proves that growth is possible without guarantees. Faith with action also builds courage. Fear thrives in hesitation. The longer you wait, the larger fear becomes in your mind. Action interrupts that cycle. Even small steps weaken fear's grip by shifting your focus from what could go wrong to what can be done next. With each action, confidence grows, not because fear disappears, but because you learn to move alongside it. This courage becomes a skill you can rely on whenever new challenges arise. Another powerful effect of faith-driven action is resilience. When results are slow or setbacks occur, faith reminds you why you started. Action keeps you moving while faith keeps you grounded. Together, they create balance. Without faith, setbacks feel personal and discouraging. Without action, faith feels empty and frustrating. Combined, they allow you to endure difficulty without losing direction. You understand that delay is not denial and that effort is still meaningful, even when rewards are not immediate. Faith and action also refine your character. Acting on belief requires honesty with yourself. You begin to recognize when you are truly committed and when you are simply hoping. This awareness eliminates self-deception. You stop saying you believe in something unless you are willing to work for it. Over time, this alignment between belief and behavior builds integrity. You become someone whose actions reflect their values, and that consistency earns self-respect. This combination also expands your vision. As you act in faith, your perspective widens. You begin to see possibilities instead of limitations. Each effort reveals new skills, new connections, and new understanding. Even failures become valuable because they provide feedback and direction. Faith helps you see failure as part of growth rather than a final judgment. Action ensures that lessons are learned through experience, not just thought. Ultimately, faith with action creates momentum. Momentum is powerful because it reduces resistance. What once felt impossible becomes manageable through consistent movement. You stop waiting for confidence to appear and instead build it through doing. Faith keeps you believing in the journey, and action keeps you on the path. Together, they turn uncertainty into progress and belief into something real and lasting. Your journey is yours alone, and understanding this changes everything about how you move through life. From the outside, it may seem like people are walking beside you, family, friends, mentors, but the truth is that no one can think your thoughts, feel your fears, or carry your exact responsibilities. At the deepest level, the path you are on is uniquely yours. The dreams in your heart were given to you specifically. The challenges you face are tailored to shape you. When you truly accept that your journey is personal, you stop comparing it to anyone else's timeline. Comparison is one of the biggest distractions from growth. When you measure your progress against someone else's success, you ignore the differences in background, opportunity, timing, and purpose. You start questioning your pace instead of respecting your process. But when you understand that your journey is yours alone, you shift your focus inward. You ask better questions. Am I improving? Am I learning? Am I staying consistent? These questions build self-awareness instead of insecurity. Owning your journey also means owning your decisions. Every choice you make moves you either forward or backward. Blaming others for your circumstances becomes less tempting when you realize that your direction is your responsibility. This does not mean life is always fair or easy, but it does mean you have power in how you respond. When setbacks happen, you adjust. When opportunities appear, you act. You stop waiting for someone to validate your path and start trusting your instincts. Another important aspect of walking your own journey is embracing solitude without resentment. There will be seasons when fewer people understand what you are trying to build. Some may doubt you, some may drift away, and some may simply not relate to your ambitions. Instead of seeing this as rejection, see it as alignment. Not everyone is meant to walk every mile with you. Some people are part of a chapter, not the whole story. Accepting this prevents bitterness and keeps your energy focused on progress. Your journey also carries lessons that only you can fully understand. The struggles you overcome give you insights that cannot be borrowed from someone else. The mistakes you make teach you in ways advice never could. These experiences shape your character and prepare you for responsibilities ahead. When success eventually comes, it will feel earned because you remember every obstacle you faced alone. That memory builds gratitude and humility. Walking your own path strengthens your identity. You stop living according to expectations and start living according to conviction. Decisions become clearer because they align with who you are becoming, not who others want you to be. Confidence grows from this alignment. It is no longer fragile or dependent on applause. It becomes steady because it is rooted in self-understanding. In the end, realizing that your journey is yours alone does not isolate you. It empowers you. It frees you from the pressure to compete and the fear of falling behind. It allows you to move at your own pace, guided by purpose rather than comparison. And as you continue forward, step by step, you build a life that reflects your effort, your growth, and your commitment to becoming the best version of yourself.